Good morning. Welcome to your Wednesday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum here with some wonderful things for you to think about today to stir some conversation among us and get us all thinking. So, welcome to Wednesday. I'm not sure what it's doing out there. I think it's raining actually, but hopefully it's lovely by you. So, let's take some nice deep breaths in and out. Just calling ourselves back to right here, right now. Focusing our attention right here. Letting go of distractions. Good morning to whomever just popped on. Glad you're here. Cindy, good morning. You're first today. Awesome. Here comes Susan. Awesome. Welcome. Everybody's popping on. So we're just breathing, settling into the moment. Ready to receive today's message. And when I share the message, I'm actually going to share the part that jumped out at me first, and then I'll go back and share the whole thing. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. Glad you're here. Everybody beginning to show up, our tribe of practical rebels. I have my nice Believe cup going today. And that's going to be helpful, I think, with our message for the day. Good morning, Abigail. Glad you are here. Thank you for the sunrise. Still dark as heck out there, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Have some interesting meetings scheduled for today. Good morning, Beth. Good morning to everybody who popped past me as I was talking. Glad you're all here. Just breathing deeply, settling in. Let's practice a little appreciation. What are you grateful for right here, right now? It can be big things, it can be small things, but just a little bit of gratitude. Just open up your heart. Breathing into that. So, when I headed for the card decks, I muscle tested and nothing tested strong. So I asked about outrageous openness, and that is what we have for today. Outrageous openness, letting the divine take the lead by Tosha Silver. And Tosha Silver is one of those people who marches to the beat of her own drummer, which I greatly appreciate. And this particular part we're going to read talks about that. Talks about those who believe they have to walk in lockstep with others and mistrust anyone who kind of has their own ideas or challenges things. I had an amazing Zoom call yesterday with a woman in California who challenged my thinking in a lot of ways about how we're creating the intentional community. And thank you, JD, for connecting me with her. Good morning, Linda. Glad you are here. But I love that opportunity to have someone stretch my thinking. And a friend of mine, good morning, Lucy, glad you're here, who is actually, if you want to send up some good energy, is having a hip replacement today. Talks about having taught a Bible study for many, many years. And one of the very conservative members of the church coming up to her at one point and saying, you know, I don't always agree with what you're teaching me, but you sure are making me think. And I thought, what an awesome compliment that is. What an awesome compliment that is. So today, I'm going to give all of us that opportunity to think, to take a look at some things and maybe challenge some of our own thoughts, especially about spirituality. But I think you're going to find that this fits in a variety of other areas. So again, I want to read the part. We're on page 8 for those of you who have the book. Good morning, Debbie. Glad you are here. Welcome. I want to read the part that when I opened the book, this is what I opened to. But then I'll go back to the beginning of this chapter and read that. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. We have 10 of us on here plus me. So let's jump in. So I want you to just breathe and receive the message, and let's see what it means for you, okay? Some spiritual groups believe that as we evolve, all the details of our individuality are buffed away into sanitized white light sameness. Any uniqueness is derided as ego. You see this where members mimic an idea of how to be spiritual, Personal style, language, and mannerisms are erased or punished. An eerie, jargon-slinging, one-size-fits-all Stepford seeker emerges. And we see that in so many places. How about politics right now? There are those who just talk the party line, and they're in lockstep with whatever's going right off the cliff at the moment. I think it serves us to be a little more self-preserving and other-preserving, but we'll see how this little clown car unfolds. And the other route? Well, maybe it's the raucous celebration of God's diversity, just like in nature. The way a lush field of wildflowers bursts open every spring, each type different, colorful, and bedazzled. Just take a look at saints and mystics throughout history. Eccentric and unique as hell, the whole lot. Uninterested in following spiritual rule books, they were on fire to know the undiluted truth of their own souls. Is that how you are? Or has some of that been damped down by the rhetoric that you've been fed? So, many lovers of Jesus admit that he was a straight-talking rabble-rouser who might not have been let into most modern churches. The Indian saint Zapruana lived on a pile of garbage, while the mystic Laleshwari wandered through the Calcutta streets half-naked and mad with divine love. Good morning, Diane. Glad you're here. The Buddhist goddess Tara was born when a feisty princess was told by monks that she couldn't become enlightened as a woman. She proved them dead wrong and became a Bodhisattva for all time. So, what if the highest expression of the personal divine is you? Precisely as you are in this very moment, in all of your full, authentic, and wounded glory. Just wondering. So, basically she's saying the universe supports diversity. The universe, God, Spirit, Creator, however you look at it, has created this massive diversity. And that's what makes life interesting, right? So somehow we embrace this diversity, and then when we get really close to it, we get scared by it. We try to make everything all the same, and let's hang out with the people who are exactly like us, and etc., etc., etc. So going back to the beginning of the chapter, this is entitled, What If God Were All of Us? What if God were all of us? What if we're all one? What if we are a unique thread in this fabric that brings us all together? We frame things from that place of separateness, but what if it's all about the oneness? So there's two quotes at the beginning of the chapter. What if God were one of us, just a stranger on the bus? That's Joan Osborne. And the sidewalks are littered with postcards from God. Walt Whitman. So here's the whole part of the chapter, and I'll read it straight through to the end. I'm glad there are 11 of you here. Thank you, Cindy, for posting that. Yes. I once was approached by one of those online companies that send out daily spiritual messages. Good morning, Courtney. Glad you are here. You know the kind. Each day you get a pithy paragraph about peace or contentment or meditation. They were hunting for new writers and had somehow found me. That right there is hilarious. Tap Tosha Silver for this kind of thing. Let's see what you're going to get. So their editor asked for some sample postings, and I obliged. Soon I got back a rather agitated call. "Excuse me, but what's with all the stories?" she asked in a tense voice. "We wanted snappy universal truths that people can relate to. Our organization is about God, not all these extraneous details. If you want to write for us, keep the personalities out." But I couldn't. I had loved tales of the divine in regular life since I was a child. I obsessively collected them the way some people do rare wines or Barbies. Any story of a miracle or strange synchronicity held me captive. Over time, the divine and the mundane had become completely intertwined in my mind, one and the same. And that kind of reminds me of that story from Thich Nhat Hanh, where he's talking about doing the dishes being a spiritual practice, mundane being a spiritual practice. So I answered, well, what if God is the story? What if the divine is constantly igniting roadside flares to get our attention? What if there actually is a supreme organizing principle with a ribald and unbridled sense of humor? And what if we each have this ardent inner suitor who's writing us love letters every day that often go unopened? She said she had to go. Well, maybe just as well. And here's the part I read before, but I'm going to read it again. Some spiritual groups believe that as we evolve, all the details of our individuality are buffed away into sanitized white light sameness. Any uniqueness is derided as ego. I remember, good morning, Bobby, glad you are here. In the church I was raised in, Catholic, that they had a phrase for that, cafeteria Catholics, deriding people who were making choices about what the church was teaching in terms of this works for me, this doesn't work for me. Basically, at that point, that particular priest was saying, you buy this hook, line, and sinker. You drink the Kool-Aid. You get the whole package, right? And I'm pleased to see that there are some priests, oftentimes Franciscans, who, Richard Rohr is amazing. If you haven't checked out his stuff, it's ROHR. But it's a Center for Contemplation and Action, or Action and Contemplation. But he does a daily. But he's talking about this very thing, being who you are, being your unique individual self as part of that tapestry of life. Yes, Richard is awesome. He is awesome. So again, this is where she's saying any uniqueness is derided as ego. You see this where members mimic an idea of how to be spiritual. Personal style, language, and mannerisms are erased or punished. An eerie, jargon-slinging, one-size-fits-all Stepford seeker emerges. And it's not just Christians who do this kind of thing. There's others who, you're either with us or against us. You buy in 100% hook, line, and sinker, or you're not a good enough whatever. All right? So she's saying, what about the other route? Well, maybe it's the raucous celebration of God's diversity, just like in nature. The way a lush field of wildflowers bursts open every spring, each type different, colorful, and bedazzled. And how well do we deal with different, colorful, bedazzled, right? I think of the drag queens who are getting, lambasted at this point in time. Why can't we embrace the diversity? Why can't we love people where they're at? Why can't we enjoy the differences, right? So she continues. Just take a look at saints and mystics throughout history. Eccentric and unique as hell, the whole lot. Uninterested in following spiritual rule books, they were on fire to know the undiluted truth of their own souls. And interestingly, if you look at some of them, they were persecuted by the groups of people who were doing the lockstep, you're either with us or you're against us kind of stuff. Many of the saints and mystics lost their lives to the status quo. So it isn't always appreciated when you're someone who leads the pack in a different direction, who poses the questions that are hard to answer, who talk about the pink elephant in the living room. Wait a minute, this isn't working. Here's why it's not working. Let's try something different. That doesn't oftentimes go over real well. Still so important that it happens. Many lovers of Jesus admit that he was a straight-talking rabble-rouser who might not have been let into most modern churches. The Indian saint Zapruana lived on a pile of garbage, while the mystic Laleshwari wandered through the Calcutta streets half-naked and mad with divine love. The Buddhist goddess Tara was born when a feisty princess was told by monks that she couldn't become enlightened as a woman. She proved them dead wrong and became a Bodhisattva. I'm not good with that word. Hisattva, there we go, for all time. So, what if the highest expression of the personal divine is you? precisely as you are in this very moment, in all your full, authentic, and wounded glory. Just wondering. So think about that. What if you think about yourself as being of the divine? What if you think about all others as being of the divine? When you think about people you struggle with, you have difficulty with, that's one of the pieces of the loving kindness meditation that I love the most, is when we move beyond the comfort of loving on and blessing our own people, our own inner circle, blah, blah, and move on to the people who create difficulties in our life, the people who we've struggled with in the past, loving them, showing them loving kindness. Then expanding beyond that to people we don't know, to groups of people we don't know or we don't understand. Loving them anyway. Loving them anyway. Everything, everyone. Again, imagine how much better we would take care of people, the planet, all of God's inhabitants, were we to come from that place of seeing the divine in everything. I think it would make a huge difference. So that is your mission for today. Thank you for posting that link, Cindy. I appreciate it. That is your mission for today. I want you to practice seeing the divine in everybody. Everybody, everything. You can take a little time and think back on your life. Who are the people who drove you the craziest? Can you see the divine in them? One of the ways to see the divine in them is to realize that they were a teacher for you. Did you get the message? If there was someone who could poke your buttons and light you up like a Christmas tree, clearly the message was there's some aspect of you that is not healed yet. Here's an opportunity to practice that healing. I was so grateful yesterday on that Zoom call because there were several things that put me in the position of challenging my beliefs about something and calling me to be a higher order thinker. I appreciated that opportunity. Was it comfortable? Absolutely not. Was it of the highest and best good? Absolutely. So I'm calling for all of us. There's 13 of you on here and me. Today, let's look for the divine in everybody. Let's allow ourselves to be challenged to think bigger, more broadly, in ways that we typically don't think. Good morning, Lori. We're just about done, but I'll post the video right after. Let's focus on the value of the diversity, the value of different thought approaches. Let's not keep doing the same old thing. Remember the definition of insanity. Doing the same old thing and expecting different results. Not going to work. Not going to work. You keep banging your head against that same wall, trying to get that wall to come down, you're going to get a bloody forehead. Take a look at what are the other options. Can I go around that wall? Can I crawl under that wall? Can I go over that wall? Can I have a conversation with that wall such that it dissolves itself? All kinds of options and opportunities. Think outside the box. There is no such thing as a box. We have created the box. The box doesn't really exist in reality. We manufacture these boxes so that we feel contained and safe, and then they become our jail cells. So, set yourself free, think more broadly, challenge yourself to see the beauty in everyone and everything, and remember that you're capable of far more than you think you are. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.